and welcome to the 7th episode of the My Hero Academia podcast. I'm Sophie.
And I'm Kendra.
This week we'll be covering anime episode 55 entitled Class 1A and manga chapter 193 entitled Vestiges. And if you don't know what Vestiges means, neither did I. It's a visible trace, evidence or sign of something that once existed but appears no more. And now for the news.
This is My Hero Academia.
Yep. So the movie officially released in Japan as of August 3rd, and with it there was Chapter 0, and it covers a bit of All Might's past and All Might's master, and there's some spoiler stuff because there's no official English translation for it yet, but I really want to talk about it, but we can hold off on that if people are really interested. The movie is coming out, it premiered a bit ago at a con, but it's going to get its official release in Canada and the United States, September 25th, 26th, 27th, 29th, and October 2nd. It'll get English dub and also sub as well. And there's also some really cool t-shirts in Japan that will have like the front pages of different manga on it, and there's also My Hero Academia ones as well. Unfortunately, it does not appear to ship outside of Japan, so no dice. And also, there's an interview going around of Oda, the author of One Piece, and Horikoshi talk to each other, but again, I'm not sure when we'll get official English translation, if we ever will. I don't even know what that appeared in, but they both seemed like very much like their lead characters. And I see people talking about how Oda reminds them now of Toriyama, because like Toriyama was like the manga god, and now like Oda's kind of that to people starting out. So it's kind of like it was very like I read some like a really good translation of it, and it was very cute.
Yeah, and wasn't there a sweet bit about Oda's daughter being worried about One Piece because Hero Academia is so popular?
Yeah, and okay, there was one bit that was like very, very cute where they said like, oh, you gotta like challenge each other, and Horikoshi's like, oh, I'll take down One Piece, and Oda's like, I won't lose. And I just want to shout out the person who translated it is at Kiribon, Kirobon. He did the translation for that interview, and it was like I highly recommend it. Like if you go to his Twitter, scroll down. But obviously support the official translation and all that, but also I have no idea when we'll ever get that translated, so I would suggest checking that out.
There is an interview with Horikoshi that was done at San Diego Comic-Con that's on anime on comicbook.com that's quite good.
Oh, and there's also one that was in Shonen Jump, and there's also one that appeared on the Shonen Jump podcast of talking to him. And my favorite tidbit of that was Uriah Brown asked him if there were hero cons, and Horikoshi said yes, there were, like, but he hadn't managed to write into the story yet. And I have like so many headcanons about what hero cons would be like in that universe, so it just makes me super happy that they're like semi kind of canon.
The students might go to one.
The idea of like whether or not you could use your quirks in cosplay, and just like also the fact like just imagining like Deku after what happened with Kami was like he met an Uraraka cosplayer, and for a second he was like, are you Uraraka? You're not Uraraka, and like thinking it's like an enemy or something. Being like, wait, okay, just a cosplayer. And it's just like, and also just to get like the idea of like whether or not if you can cosplay villains, they're like the real people who like terrorize people in their world. So, like someone cosplaying as Stain would be like controversial. Like cosplaying as a Shigaraki would kind of be like, what are you doing? So that's the interesting part, because it would be like kind of like whether like cosplaying villains might be like taboo, or might be like too like I don't know.
I wonder if there's any cosplays of like of Izuku cosplaying as All Might.
Oh, that would be so cute. I want someone. They need to make an actual All Might onesie, so people can bring their kids to cons in All Might onesies, and then make adult onesies so I can wear them.
I think I've seen a cute child in an All Might cosplay. Or no, I think it was the adult, the parent, was dressed as All Might and the child was dressed as Izuku.
And I think there's some other news, right?
Yep, so it's just been released. Shonen Jump have released a page where you can vote for your My Hero Academia favourite character. However, it's on the Viz website, and I believe you need to be subscribed. We're just going to retweet it on Twitter. But you go onto the My Hero Academia Character Popularity Poll 2018, or you could type that into your search engine of choice. So the page is My Hero Academia Character Popularity Poll 2018. And then you can click on the link and take the poll. I'm going to do it now.
Okay, you have to choose from a list, but it is like a very long list, and it seems like they have the newer characters. You can also write in other. Okay, who are you going to vote for?
I'm not sure. I'm going to take a little while to make up my mind.
Because I feel like I'm either going to vote for All Might or Kirishima, but I'm not sure which yet.
I wish they had, you could vote for your top 3.
That would be so much nicer, because then I could be like, have a list, so that it's like, if it's not this one, then at least like I want this one. Because I kind of want to vote for Deku, because then he can get number 1 again.
Yeah.
But also I love Kirishima. But also I love Fat Gum, like I want him to be higher up. Like, yeah, I wish you could just pick your favorite, and then your favorite, like, lesser known, or like, not lesser, side character.
So you can vote for anyone you want. So if you want to be one of the pesky people that votes for Naruto or votes for Izuku's shoes, you can.
Yes. And also there is some spoilery names in the list, though, so it's characters who haven't appeared in the anime yet. So, but it's just the name, so it's not like super spoilery or anything, but just a heads up. That's all for the news segment. Let's move on into the anime.
This is my hero academia.
So on to the episode. Again, this is episode 55 entitled Class 1A. This episode only covers manga chapter 106. So it's just one chapter this week because of all the filler. So we start with the ninja school participants who are throwing an enlarged, it's the recap of last week when they're throwing the enlarged tungsten metal needles and bolts at Shoto while he's trying to counter them with his fire and ice. The red ninja tells him that he's being overconfident by acting alone, and then blue and black ninja attack his fire with their mud and water attacks. They don't drown out his fire, it's just a stalemate.
And it's Avatar. Sorry, it's Avatar.
Yeah, they don't. Do they use mud or is it just earth? What am I saying? Earth is mud. Ignore me.
Yeah. But I was just like, this is Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's like, I know Horikoshi hasn't seen it, but the anime, I guess it's just using the elements. So I guess it's not like Avatar doesn't have like a staple on that. But I'm just like, what? Everything's making me think of Avatar lately. I need to rewatch it. Sorry.
I think you do. So he's then also, while he's engaged with this, he's attacked with the tungsten again, but he stops it with his ice before 2 yellow chaps beef up and destroy the building. While they use the building so that they sort of pull up and they throw those metal structures at him. And Shoto's thinking that they thought of everything to counteract him. So they're using fire, they're using physical attacks to counter the fire, and water to counter his flame, and the latter of which causes a big steam explosion, which gives Shoto the perfect opportunity to hide again and plan out his next move. While he's doing this, he reflects that the hero's Public Safety Commission must have created the factory arena so that they could use the characteristics of its terrain to their advantage. And because of that, he thinks that when he sees this large, I don't know, what is it, vat?
Yeah, or like
A large vat.
Yeah.
A large vat/container, that there must actually be something in it. So he uses his ice to create a dent in it, and then with his fire from that dent, he creates a massive explosion that sends the ninjas off flying, and yet burns off their clothing just around the groin for some reason, which I've screenshotted and put on our Twitter if you want to see flying groin clothingless ninjas.
They have their groins legless, or some stripped boys.
No, they're just like they're just like the little dolls now, all smooth.
Oh, yeah. And I guess, like, it also, we don't even know what the gas is. It could have been anything in there. It didn't have, like, a label. You just assumed, oh, it's probably something that'll blow up. It's just this pink gas. Luckily, it's not, like, I guess he talks about it. Like, I guess he was betting on it being something that wouldn't kill anyone. But it's still, like, you had no idea what was in that at all. It could have just been water. Like, it could have been a factory that was their, like, water tank. It's like, I didn't know what it was.
So then we see 4 of the ninja which are being held in Shoto's ice, which allows him to throw the balls and get them out, and he passes on to the next stage. Then at 4 minutes we get the title card. I liked that. I think it was only like a few minutes long, so it was a short enough filler to see some fighting without it being too much. I don't think it was too ridiculous.
Yeah, I liked it. It was good. We got to, like, see Todoroki in action a little bit. He got to be cool. And I just like that he was betting on the commissioner going for realism, but they toned it down a little.
So Shoto's then walking along he's thinking that using his fire and ice simultaneously is still difficult for him and it's slowing him down, so he needs to practice more. The targets then all turn blue and tell him he's passed and needs to go to the waiting room. We get some exposition and learn that the targets notifies those who have passed and those who have failed. They also recognise both the balls and their wearers and who hit whom based on distance, movement and other factors.
That doesn't make any sense. Like, since you can use other people's balls, you can steal balls, so it can't track who threw it. But then I guess it does, like, oh, you couldn't have thrown the ball at yourself. And then I guess it uses cameras, but just like, no, it doesn't make any sense.
So we then learn that the bits that attach to them are very clever and they can only be removed by like a special magnetic key. And I'm wondering if inside them there's also Bluetooth with the candidate's number on it. And then there's Bluetooth inside the balls. So when the balls are close to the bits that are attached to the
target?
Yeah, the targets, but the targets that the person's wearing, when they're close, maybe then they register and they sync up. So when they're thrown by the person they're synced with and they hit someone else's target, it registers as a hit for the person it was connected to. Did that make sense?
Maybe, or maybe they have like little cameras in each of them, like a GoPro or something, so that it can like, and it's like 360, so it can see who's also like throwing it or something. Or they have like, I don't know. I just don't like that you can steal balls, because like I think it would have been more interesting if you had to use, like, they actually stuck to you only have 3 balls rule. And I guess I would take away from Ina's like cool stealing balls with like a big windstorm, but it would have been cool if it had been a lot more like technical. It'd been like you could only use your balls, you literally only have 3 shots.
Imagine all these like tennis style ball boys just hiding in the background, coming up and like, that's not your ball, put it down, and then going back into their hiding place.
But no, it would just be that like you would throw the balls, but then you wouldn't actually get the credit for it. It would be like,
that's not your ball, you didn't throw that ball, put your ball down.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, I passed. It's like, oh no, actually, like the people who own that ball passed because you didn't follow the rules. But that would be too much like rule, and like being a hero, you have to like, it's not like as rigid as that. Like you have to be more like free flowing and like think on your feet. So I guess like having like very rigid parameters like that would be too limiting. But it just makes me mad. I know I'm being like pedantic or whatever, but I'm being mad about balls.
It's a quirk future in Japan. They'll have some sort of Bluetooth or camera system to make it work.
And I get it would be boring if they spent like any longer than what they did here, like hand waving it away. If they'd been like, okay, let's spend like 10 minutes talking about balls, so one person will be happy. It makes sense. Sorry, we can move on.
We then cut to the next, because that bit there was canon, but we now cut to the next non-canon part of the episode. And I don't know about you, but when I first saw this bit and we see the spread of the tea and cakes, I was really caught off guard. I genuinely thought I was watching something else for a moment. I was like, what is this?
Same, I was kind of like, why? I was like, why is there cake? I thought we were like cutting to like someone watching or something. I was like, why is there cake? I was so confused.
So we see a fancy table spread of cakes and tea. We see like a white gloved hand holding a very small cup of tea. And we hear another participant who looks, I thought she was a maid at first, because she was addressing the tea drinker so formally, and she's calling her Miss Sai. She also bows to her. She informs her that they've seen 4 UA students entering their building. Miss Sai asks to see the video, and she sees the video by the person who I assumed was the maid opening just her right eye and projects an image of Shoji, Jiro, Momo and Sue. She lists off their quirks, but when she gets to Momo's quirk, the projection really zooms into her. We then see who this Miss Sai is for the first time. She's got some long light blue hair with a full fringe, and she's wearing the same outfit as the maid. Yeah, their outfits I thought were very similar to dressage contestants, though they're white and dressage is usually like black, darker colours. And she even has a monocle, and I don't know why, but I listed this on a posh food spectrum. And I thought that the monocle pushed her up from truffles to caviar on a posh food spectrum.
And also, what's the pot? Is the posh food spectrum something you made up, or is it a real thing?
It just came to my mind. I was like, a monocle? Why is she wearing a monocle? Ugh. She's so posh. And then I thought, what's posh? And for some reason, I thought food.
Okay, that's good. I just sometimes also like not connected to anything, so she literally has to like clench her eye, and then like if it falls, it'll just be like, oh, well that's gone now. Usually they like circle back and like they'll connect to like a waistcoat or something, and it has a little jewel. And like it also annoys me that her and her maid look a lot alike. Like they both have the grayish hair, long hair, and I'm like, this is confusing. And also the Sai name, I was like, just give her pink hair so she could be Sai from Twitter. Like if it would have been like perfect. But every time they said Sai, I just thought of Sai from Twitter.
The scene colour then changes, and Miss Sai is encircled by mathematical equations written in gold because she's that fancy. She then starts to giggles. She says that she's picked her prey and requests that the others are gathered before she gives some arrogant side glance to the camera and says that her formula for success is complete. We flash back to Shoto again, who this time he's entering what's called the ante-room, and he sees the other successful participants there. And there's quite a lot of people there, but he notices a NASA at the side who's being enthusiastic as always, and he's getting really pumped up talking to someone about, I'm guessing, a hero called Stab Man. And Stab Man is super passionate hero, so he loves him.
Do you think Stamp Man throws stamps at people, makes people stamp sized, or like stamps at people with his foot? Like what do you think Stamp Man is? I want to know.
Oh, I really hope he's postal delivery based.
Same. He's an angry mailman.
I want him to be the post hero. Super passionate about your post.
Or it's like, I'll deliver you post mortem.
Oh.
He's like, actually, how you don't murder people? He just like, or he like really hates dogs. That would be bad. I love dogs. I don't want him to hate dogs. But I just like the idea of like a very angry postal delivery man fighting crime because people keep stealing Amazon packages and he is tired of it.
So the person that he's talking to looks quite embarrassed, and he's wondering, why is this guy talking to me out of the blue? So, like, did Anasa just go up for him and declare his love for Stamp Man?
Yeah, like he didn't bring it up. He's just like, I love Stamp Man. He's like, I don't know who Stamp Man is.
Imagine you're really tired and you're also you're anxious about who your friends passed, you're anxious about what the next stage is, and then some guy just comes up to you and declares their love for something else and just rants to you. You're like, what?
Or maybe the guy was talking to someone else, like, oh, I admire Stamp Man, and Inasa just walked up and, like, inserted himself in the conversation, and the other person ran away. That might maybe...
Yeah, that does seem likely. So Shoto's looking at him, and I think he's trying to think if he knows him, and he's thinking that he doesn't remember seeing him at the UA recommendation students entrance exam.
I forgot about that. You mentioned before, because we talked about it earlier, you're like, oh, there was an exam. And I was like, oh, there's going to recommend in, but you were right. I completely forgot that they talked about this.
Yeah, so they both took this entrance exam, and we found out like 2 episodes ago that Inasa got higher than Shoto. Shoto was like, I thought I'd have seen him at the entrance exam, but obviously he has no recollection. But at this point, Inasa, he's still excited and talking, but he stops mid-sentence because he noticed Shoto. his face turns into a semi-mean glare very briefly before he then ignores Shoto and continues talking even though he's forgot what he's talking about. I like that he did that. As he put his head down, there was a tunchi sound effect, but his glare didn't last for that long, and it wasn't that angry either.
Because Inessa's a good dude.
He's just such a nice guy. So we go back into the test, and we learn through Sleepy Mirror that they're only just over halfway through past because 56 people are through. And he says that the participants shouldn't panic, but they should also hurry up. We see Shoji's Jubilee arms with the eyes on the end surveying the area. And I put 2 pictures up about this on Twitter because I think that they look like the Diagonoa from Star Wars A New Hope, which is the fourth or the first film, depending on how you look at it. You know, the rubbish compactor that comes out when they fall down. That's what they reminded me of. Though obviously it's non-canon, so that wasn't meant by Horikoshi, but oh well, I digress. We learn that he's looking out for the other people in his class while Jiro is using her jacks, plugging them into the wall for surveillance. Sue and Shoji agree that they are likely in a different area to their peers, and Sue believes that they should stop searching for them and try to pass on their own, but she wants Momo's opinion first. Momo does agree with her, but before she can continue, Jiro hears some footsteps of 4 people about 10 floors below them coming up the stairs. Shoji then looks on edge that they might be coming for them. However, Momo is more worried that there's only 4 of them, as the schools that they've seen previously were all moving in larger groups. Sue wonders if their friends were defeated and they're coming into the building to hide, but Jiro disagrees, saying that they're still ascending the stairs, so that theory is quite unlikely. And Momo believes that there's more of them. But before she can carry on talking, some very loud music suddenly gets switched on, causing Jiro to be in so much pain that she's thrust backwards onto the floor, covering her ears. Momo and Sue immediately go to help her, which is really lovely, but I was thinking when they did that, if someone barged in from the door behind them, they'd be left at risk, wouldn't they? Because they're both there's now 3 of them kneeling on the floor.
Oh, not good strategy.
No. Shoji then takes over the listening through the wall, and he says that it's fine for him, but it'll be too much for Jiro because his hearing is nowhere near as good as hers.
And also because it was so sudden, like she was listening so intently that it hit her more, but he's like prepared for it.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
Sue realises that they're targeting Jiro specifically, and I like that when Sue addresses Jiro, she uses her first name, but when Shoji does it, he uses her surname. I don't know. It's a really tiny thing, but I really like character development, and I thought that was a sweet touch.
It's very cute. I think Asui usually refers people by their first name, and like everyone else tends to do last name because she wants to be friends with everybody. I think she mainly does it just for the girls. I don't know if she would call Shoji by his first name or not. I don't even know what his first name is.
We saw her ask Izuku if she could use his first name. So I think it's just if she wants to be friends with people.
Mm-hmm.
So we see the maid participant and Miss Sai walking on the corridor, but they're now joined by 3 other ladies, all in the same attire. And they're not walking up any stairs. Instead, they're getting into a lift. And as they do that, Miss Sai declares that Phase 2 is about to start.
And I love their uniforms. Like, they're so cool. And I just love the idea of, like, an all-girls hero school is really cool. And I don't think we know the name of their school. All we know is that it starts with an I or something.
We learn the name of the school later on.
I didn't take note of it. The I on their hats makes me think of Impel Down, though.
We go back to our heroes, and the glass around them from the windows it completely cracks. They can't see out. Yet it doesn't break. Momo and Shoji quickly realise that this is to restrict his vision, and both of these together mean that both he and Jiro can't use their surveillance abilities. Shoji asks Momo what the opponent is after, and Momo hypothesises that they're probably trying to keep the group there and surround them, and they're probably also quite close to them already. Jiro then also instantaneously, as soon as she realises that they're close, she jumps up ready to fight, And as she is just about to use her heartbeat distortion, a laser beam from the window promptly destroys the amplifiers on her hands. We see the culprit, and she's got one big, I'm guessing it's a glove, and on the back of the glove is a slingshot, but we don't know how she used the laser beam and if it was from a slingshot. But
I guess maybe she's firing the laser beam. Like it looks like she makes the laser from the glove and then like fires it. I don't know if it's a glove or if it's actually just her hand. Maybe her quirk is that she makes electric balls, and then she just got the slingshot as like hero tech. We don't know which one.
And we never learn. Spoiler.
I know we'll never see them again. I want to know more about these hero ladies. Say, but like she literally like starts bleeding. I was like, it's a very like physical attack. It's almost like just super target your balls at them. Like, why are you like hurting them? But yeah, it's all the strategy.
She probably couldn't get the balls through the window.
Oh yeah, because if you break it completely, then it's not blocking the vision. Mm-hmm.
And as we see her, she says that phase 2 is now complete. Our heroes our heroes check if Jiro's okay, but this time they keep their distance. They don't all rush up to her and they stay in their hiding places. We learn that not only did Jiro's amps get destroyed, but also her left ear is damaged, and we see blood coming from her earphone jack. Which for a second I was like, what? Why is her jack bleeding if it's from her ear? And then I was like, Sophie, you're an idiot. The jacks come from her ears.
Yeah, and I was just worried. I was like, how much did they hurt her ear? I was like, I guess Recovery Girl can like fix ears probably like really fast, but it's still like brutal. But that's heroing. That's like when you fight, you gotta put your ears on the line. I guess it's not life or death. They're students, but yeah.
So Momo realises that they were able to predict Jiro's actions after just seeing her use the heartbeat distortion just once. So there must be someone extremely intelligent leading them. And as she's saying this, we get an up-camera boob shot, which it's not that, on fan service terms, not that bad.
Momo's whole outfit is fan service.
Yeah, there's only one fan service shot in this episode which I didn't like, and I thought was a bit And considering the whole episode is on Momo, and as you said, her whole outfit is fan servicey, that's not that bad going.
Yeah, I think I know which one you mean, but we'll see.
Yeah. Shoji and Momo realise that it's getting colder before they spot the cold air coming through the vents. We then see a new one of the enemy who is creating cold air from her finger vents, and that cold air is creating ice which is surrounding the pipes and causing the cold vent air. She must have been standing there for ages if she's just freezing it with cold air to freeze it that much that it's doing the whole thing.
Yeah, like holding your hand up for that long would hurt. And also, like, she'll be very popular at parties. She can put ice in everyone's drinks.
Oh yeah, it's such a party girl. I didn't think of that.
Oh, and also now we get an ice person, but I wonder if it's like it's her hand, but it's also like it's just her hand. So it makes me think of like Todoroki and like his mom. So there's other ice people as well.
I wonder if she can just create steam and she can create cold and hot steam, or if imagine if it's just cold steam.
Maybe. I guess I'd be like, I can make that, yeah, chili. You'd be like, but if you'd like, yeah, I don't. That's the problem is we'll never see them again. I keep being like, wait, this is filler. I have to remind myself it's filler because it actually is like really good. But now I'm like curious about these characters.
I hope we see her in the future and they're really hot at a beach and we just see this summer hero going along and it's her just cooling everyone down.
Yes.
But anyway, we digress. On to phase 3. What's phase 3? I'll tell you phase 3. The windows suddenly get sealed with some slamming down shutters around the whole building. And as they get colder, Sue faints and goes into hibernation.
Aww.
And so Soji has the idea of starting a fire, but Momo says that she can't because it will activate the sprinklers. The sprinklers will turn on and they'll make her even colder.
Just break the sprinklers. Break the sprinklers.
Yeah, I guess if the sprinklers get cold enough, then wouldn't the sprinklers be frozen so they couldn't turn on?
Yeah, or just like it's not a real building. You can just break them. I guess that if you break them, it might break them so they come out, like more comes out. So, yeah.
Either way, she says that an electric heater also wouldn't work because the enemy likely have control of the electricity. These were really good insights that she has. I wouldn't have thought of any of those. I'd be like, try them. I'd be Jiro and Shoji just throwing suggestions at her. But instead she makes a blanket out of her back, and somehow when she makes the blanket from her back, it doesn't break her top.
I guess she has like a space in her back, doesn't she? Like she has like a back cut?
I don't think she does.
Oh yeah, you're right. It definitely, her back is covered, and she just like makes stuff through it somehow. Yeah, her back's covered. Sorry, we can cut all that out.
Yeah, because when she later on she makes something from her back and her top is ripped then, and when she created the electric blanket at USJ to protect them from Kaminari's quirk, then the back the front all came off as well, but the back, she created a big hole in the back as well.
Sense it makes none.
But either way, we then see so far from the enemy, this is the third finger powered quirk.
That's what I thought too, yeah.
Yeah, this is the third one we see so far. And she's using her finger welding powers to weld the door shut. We then see the super cute image that's been going around just all of the My Hero Academia fandom of Shoji swaddling Sue in her hibernated state with her little hands doing some sort of hamster pose under her mouth. They're noticing that their only way out now is through a set of double doors, but they know that the enemy's going to be on the other side. Jiro suggests that Momo break open the emergency door with an explosion. However, Momo worries that it would create a phreatic explosion, which I googled, and that's an explosion caused by steam. And it usually happens underwater, but I think you've got more information on this.
It occurs when magma heats ground or surface water, and when it happens, it makes a very big sonic boom as well. And it was actually the cause of the loudest noise in recorded history. And it was so loud that if you were in Boston and someone tells you they heard a sound coming from New York City, you're probably going to give them a funny look. But that's only 200 miles away. But it's talking about like a sound being in Boston and clearly hearing a noise from Dublin, Ireland. It traveled at the speed of sound, 766 miles, or 1,233 kilometers per hour, and it made the noise for about 4 hours. It takes the noise about 4 hours to cover that distance, and just like it traveled the world 4 times over in that time. Like it's very loud, and I wonder kind of if that kind of gave her the idea to do what she does later, even though it's just more like a side mention of like, oh, she's really smart and she knows that like that causes something. But I just wonder like if maybe there's a bit of logic to that helped that later on it's like, oh yeah, big noises, because it can loud noises hurt. Like if they're loud enough, you can act like, I don't know. Yes, that's all I got.
So Momo is currently trying to formulate a plan. She's thinking that they can't use Jiro to her full ability because one of her jacks is injured. And breaking down the door is too obvious, so they need to instead seal off the 8 vents first. Outside, the enemy tells Miss Sai that Phase 3 is complete. This was weird as well. So we see Miss Sai is sitting down, and she's still drinking tea, and the maid student that's standing next to her is holding some cake ready for her. And she's got her eyes closed as well, so she's just standing there with her eyes closed, just holding this cake ready. Miss Sai plans to make Momo use all her lipids so that her quirk is cancelled out, and the narrator then tells us that Miss Sai is actually called Psycho Intelli. She's a second year from Seai Academy, Seiai, Seai Academy, and her quirk is called IQ.
Oh, I just felt like I find it odd that she knew that it was from like her lip lids, because how did she get that from just what? Like, did Momo just start like yelling out how she made it, or did she just like she was smart enough that she could like figure out how she made it? Because that would be the only thing that makes sense.
I'm guessing that it's because like we learned that her quirk is that her intelligence multiplies when she closes her eyes after drinking tea, and her IQ is already 150 anyway. So I'm guessing she just worked out that it's coming from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
It must be coming from the lipids, because otherwise Momo would just be going around being like, my lipids, create lipids.
And also, okay, I looked it up. 150, 160 and up is considered genius. So she was like already almost genius level. But then like the super specific thing when you drink tea and close your eyes, like ups it a bit. But it's just like if she's in like fighting in like combat, like against a villain, to have to think on her feet. Will she have like emergency tea and like a little, like, what do you call it? A little flask, and like close her eyes really quick and then open them again, like, and have to remember what she thought of when she was really smart? Like, I don't know, it's funny.
But different types of tea affect her varying teas have varying effects.
Oh, and that makes me think of a certain character who appears later on in the manga.
You said that people with an IQ over 160 are considered geniuses, but I found that only 0.13% of the population actually have an IQ over 145. So, like, for reference, most of us sit in between an IQ of 85 to 115, significantly lower. As the narrator speaks, we see that Shoji himself is shivering now, and he's holding Sue even closer to him. Miss Sai giggles, while her cronies are sort of fawning over her. She wants Momo to use her quirk so that she can take her out after. Momo then opens up her top to start using her quirk, like from the middle of her breasts. But then at 11 minutes 41 seconds, we have the episode break, and it is not the usual episode break. There's no character cards. It's just in the bottom right-hand corner, there's the My Hero Academia logo. That's it.
It really threw me off. It was weird. And like as I was watching, I was like trying to think of how they could beat her, and I kept thinking like, oh, the only way to beat a really smart person is to do something really dumb. I've watched too much One Piece, clearly. And one little thing is that I'm like 90% sure that Sai's voice actor is Hayama Sayori, who voiced Shinoa in Seraph, and also like she's probably most like well known for like an awesome rant she did in When Supernatural Battles Become Commonplace. She was a character named Hatoka. I definitely recommend looking up, like, just literally Google anime rants, and I guarantee, or like best anime rants, and I guarantee that will be like one of the first results. So she's an amazing voice actress. So I'm like pretty sure that's her. But let's keep going. And that's sort of like, boy, I'm glad her boobs glow, so we know that she's using her power. Not. And she stops the transmutation, and Jiro asks, "What is wrong, Yao Momo?" I love that nickname. Shoji also asks why. And she says, "No matter how many times I think about it, I always get the same answer. They're trying to make me use up my quirk." Her quirk creation is the most uncertain part of their plan. And we get a shot of Sai sitting cross-legged, looking very smug. And she thought at first that the cold was for Asui's quirk, but it was actually to use up Momo's quirk. And Shoji realizes they were planning to march in calmly after making your quirk useless. And Momo says, "Yes, that's why I can't use my quirk right now. I must save it for when the need really arises." And I love that too, because it's kind of like they're very much like trusting Momo, because she's basically saying, "I can't do anything." Like, and I guess like if they didn't trust her enough, they could be like, "Oh, you expect us to do everything?" But luckily they like waited out and listened to her whole plan.
Yeah, the whole way through the episode, they all refer back to Momo quite a lot. So I guess she did get in through recommendation. She is the most intelligent one there, and she is one of the class representatives. So it does make sense, but it's nice.
I think you've said before, in like we get the rating of their like skills. Was Momo's intelligence 5 or S? Do you remember?
It was S. So yeah, May is 5, but Momo's even above her, and she's got the S.
Yes, that's because she's very smart, and they also realize they can't just stay here because they won't pass the exam. And for a second, I honestly thought their solution was going to be like eliminate each other with the balls and like cannibalize each other. But that probably would.
I thought they'd want to. Yeah, I thought they were going to try and go out through the ceiling or the floor or something. And also, the enemy's not really counting for Shoji much, and he's a big, like, he's not just there for surveillance. He's a big hulky guy.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, "Oh, I can just do this." It's like, no, like Shoji will beat you up. Like, it was kind of weird. Like, she kind of thought everything through, but she very much was only thinking of their quirks, or like I guess she kind of knew Momo well enough that she could think of this, but that's what I was thinking too. I was like, just I guess there might have been people up and down as well, or just like jump out the window. And Shoji can Shoji fly? I don't. No, he can't. I was thinking of just Uraraka has to like make him float and throw him. For some reason, I just imagined he could like make wings and fly. But
Yeah. I wonder if, because we see him being quite a gentleman in this episode, I wonder if he's got any sort of, like Ojiro is also quite a gentleman. I wonder how they would be.
oh yeah, it would have been interesting to have that been like, how do you fight? Like I guess there's very much actual like punching in this episode. It's more like it kind of makes me think of Death Note a little bit when you're like trying to think of what the other person's thinking about. It was interesting. I don't know. It's interesting. Jiro just wants to force her way out, and Shoji says that's what they'll predict we'll do. And Momo wonders what Todoroki, Ida, or Midoriya would do. I love that she doesn't think about what Bakugo would do, because Bakugo would just blow everything up. Like, he would be smarter about it, but I just kind of know that she didn't think about Bakugo. And she thinks back to Deku saying, after hearing I could still reach, I couldn't sit still. I can't help but think about saving him. And then she does a clenched fist over a close boob shot. And it was like, this is like, it's her like being determined, but it's also like, that's a boob shot.
It's the same pose that Ida makes when he's declaring that he'll do something. He does, I think I called it like the Knight's pose before, where he gets the fist above his heart. He's like, I will be better. I won't rush into battle anymore. I promise you, normal hero.
But it's just like, her costume pisses me off, because there's like better ways of being able to produce. I think so. I wonder though, is if she's actually drawing lip lids from that specific area. So like, boobs are a lot of fat, right?
Yeah, they are fat. They're not muscle or anything.
They're not muscle, they're just fat. So maybe that's why it's easier to draw from them, because there are a lot of lipids. So then, like, she's drawing from specifically the spots that have a lot of it, so she can, like, choose which part. So maybe that's the logic to it.
I have a theory about her costume. I think that it's revealing because her confidence is low. Like, we see her being, like, she's got low confidence, like, just like Jiro does. But I think one of the ways, especially when you're younger, you can either reclude into a shell or you can overcompensate for it. So I wonder if her outfit is overcompensating for her self-issues, her self-doubt.
It makes me think, because have you ever heard of Power Girl?
No.
Because Power Girl is, she's from, I can't remember which, she's from a comic book, and she has, it's DC. And she has, like, a boob window that's gigantic in her costume. And it's because, like, the logic is like, like, Superman has the S on his chest, but I'm not confident enough to do that. So instead, there's a hole in me, and that boob window represents the hole in myself. It's also like, no, it's just a boob window. So it is kind of like the insecurity part, but, like, I think Momo's is a lot more, like, genuinely what you were saying. That's not, like, it's not too, like, I don't know. It's not like nefarious purposes.
Yeah, I think it might be a little bit of both, but
it makes sense still. But I don't know. You can if you're writing the story, you can literally justify anything. You're writing it, like Horikoshi can just like come up with any excuse he wants, and you can brush it off, being like, oh yeah, because it makes sense in the story. It's like, then he's the writer. He's not like being held at gunpoint to do this.
It's a shonen. He needs to have a sexy big-breasted girl there.
Yeah, as annoying as it might be.
Sorry, and he said he's a pervert himself.
Yes, I do love. Yeah, like I think he said like Mineta is kind of like inspired by him or something. No, I think he just I forget what. I don't know. I love Horikoshi. I love Momo. I don't mean to shit on them too much. Sorry. And she says, forget it. She thinks herself, forget about the personal exam. Just focus on saving them. For now, just that. And she flips through her book, and she's like, everyone, please bear with the conditions for a few more minutes.
This is the first time we see her use her book, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Because I think before we've only really gotten the book in, like, her character information page thing, where it said, like, oh, that's why she has the book.
Yeah, and that's only in the manga. It's not in the anime. They haven't done, like, analysis of their hero costume, so we just sort of every now and then see this book sitting on her bum ledge.
Bum ledge?
But if you watch the anime, you're kind of like, why has she got like a bum ledge with a book on?
Oh, I thought you were saying cleavage, like bum ledge, but you said bum ledge.
Yeah, she's got a little shelf on her bum, doesn't she? Bum
Yes,
shelf.
but like I just like the idea of like bum ledge, but you spell it like cleavage, but with bum. I just love like she like kind of completely bares her boobs to make the headphones, and Shoji turns around, Jiro jumps in front, being like, "Oh no!" And she could have just made those from her waist, but she makes the headphones. She makes 4, and I just wonder like she should have like snacks on her hero belt, so then she can get her lip lids back a lot faster.
That would be such a good idea.
Yeah, and she makes the speaker from her back. She has to get on her hands and knees to do it. It's her first time making it, but the structure isn't complicated. Or I guess we don't know what she's making yet. And it's complicated. Save just enough lipids to move and to make it as big as possible. And her power is very like pink and glittery. And when she talks about like making the structure of it, it just makes me think of Dr. Stone again. Have you read Dr. Stone yet? No?
I'm a big fan.
Okay, good. Yes, because this made me think of that. Because, like, as long as you know, like, she has to know the science behind everything she makes. It's not magic, or like it's her quirk, but she has to actually like think about, know the structure of it. So she's like, oh, I love how smart Momo is at it. It's like, it makes sense. Like, it's interesting.
Is this bit the fan service bit that you said that you didn't like?
Oh, the fan service I didn't like was the clench fist one. That was the one that bugged me.
No, this is the fan service one I wasn't too keen on. But I don't know if it's just because we're going through it slowly to review it. But there's a bit when she starts to bend over into her little, I don't know, cat position.
Yeah.
There's a good crop shot, and I was like,
oh,
I don't appreciate that, but
yeah.
it's not there for very long, so whatever.
Whatever. And Sai says they've been in there 10 minutes. And the one girl, like the one with the pink hair, makes the funniest like side-eye face that I'm just like, why? Why is she doing that? Is she just like disinterested, or is she like rebellious? Rebellish? What are you saying? She's kind of rebelling a bit.
I think she's admiring her because they do. All of her little cronies
blushing.
did a big swoon over her earlier, didn't they?
Oh yeah, so she's blushing. So she's more like, oh, I'm shy. I thought she was like side-eyeing her, but I think that makes more sense. She's like, oh. And
get off your chair, bitch. Stop drinking your tea.
Exactly. It's like, do something. And Sai licks her lips creepily, and she says, ready yourselves to storm in. And we get a cool shot of all the girls. We have a girl who could also create, or no, she has like, she has a hammer and like a metal pole. I don't think she's making it. I think she's more like wielding it. She has like claws as well, which is kind of cool. Snake hair or like tubular hair. There's a guy. there's one girl who has like the wavy arm guy you have outside car dealerships. That's what she looks like.
Oh yeah, like she's got like squid arms.
Yeah.
There's one with tentacle hair that you just mentioned, and there's squid arms.
Yeah. And then there's Porcupine Lady, who I also love. She's cool. I think one of her arms is a porcupine-ish.
She looks like a sea anemone.
Oh yes. And she looks forward to seeing the situation. And then everything gets very shaky. She touched her head. The girls start to fall. It was a high-frequency sound attack. And even with headphones, Jiro can still feel it in her body. And basically, you make headphones, you do a big noise, knock them out. And she wonders, and this is where I wonder if she got the idea to do the loud noise because the frenetic, whatever it's called, reaction caused the loudest noise in record history. And I love that Shoji is worried about Asui. And Momo says, please bear with it for another 7 seconds. Like, she even knows how long it takes sound to knock people out. Like, next level. We get the countdown. The teacup falls and breaks, and they push the door open, and Jiro says, it worked. And Momo says, put your balls on the target, which just sounds like, put your balls just like made me laugh.
I am looking forward to not saying balls so often soon.
Same. I just want this to end. And it sounds so wrong. But Sai was hiding behind the door, and she grabs Momo, and she can't believe she attacked rather than defended. She can't believe like an elite UA student would do something so risky, but because of that you can't move. And even if I only get you, I will make sure you fail. And it seems very personal.
Yeah, I changed her name here from Miss Psy to Sadistic Psy.
Yeah. Well, psi intelligence, it's very close to like psycho intelligence, I think, or something. I don't know.
I think her surname, they said her surname was Intelligy anyway.
Basically intelligence.
Or
So it's like
Intelli or something like that, and then her
Yeah.
quirk is IQ.
Yeah, because all their names are puns. All the canon like characters, all their names are puns on their quirk. So it's like you could, if you know like Japanese, you'd be able to like tell what a person's quirk is just from seeing their name. But it would have to be like written out in kanji, I think. They use two different kinds, and one of them is like it would be very clear what it is, and the other one it would be like kind of hide it. And I know that's what he did with what's it, Tomoa? What's Tomoa the scary girl? Toga. Sorry.
Toga. There we go.
That's kind of, okay. I'll redo that. So it's kind of similar to Toga. When she was introduced, it was kind of unclear how to read her name because her name actually kind of reveals what her quirk is. And even now, like in the anime, we don't know what it is, so I won't say. But it's kind of interesting. And I love that they even managed to do that for filler characters. And she pins Momo down, and Momo thinks to herself, I can't give up. I'll show the effects of that training. Sai says, you're just struggling in vain. And she makes handcuffs and handcuffs them together, which is awesome. Like, so smart. Like, she knows how to use just like the minimal amount that she can to not like pass out or not be able to move at all. And with those few seconds she bought, they were able to break down the door. And Asui gets to do something. She grabs the Sai's wrist with her tongue. And you think of yourself, and she says, like, you should think of yourselves, not your friends. Why'd you come back? Didn't you think she'd failed already? That's too fast of a time to have failed. Like, how fast can you put balls on people? Like,
she's got the world's quickest wrists. Depending on what tea she drinks.
Yep. And Jiro says, that might be how you are. And I love that they kind of like finish each other's sentences here. Like they're very much a team. Jiro says, that might be how you are. Oh, sorry, I said that twice. And Asui says, but we can't leave our friend behind. And Shoji says, we don't give up. They won't leave their friend behind. And and Shoji especially was inspired by Midoriya. He's saying, I want to cry. Oh, this is me writing in my notes, I want to cry. Shoji didn't say that. He said, back to Midoriya saying, I want to save both. And when he's thinking about he wants to save both Bakugo and the kid, Koda.
Tokoyami.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
sorry.
Because Tokoyami was going in his rage monster time.
So they wanted to save both Tokoyami and Bakugo, right?
Yeah.
And that's just how we at Class 1A are. And Sai says, as expected of UA, you defeated me completely. And as she drops her ball, and as the ball falls, we cut to the meat potato, which is gross. And I just like, kind of going back a bit, she just kind of like accepts that they're gonna put their balls on her. She doesn't like fight.
Yeah, I guess she can't really do anything, so she just relinquishes it. And
like how many are there? 4-on-1, so she doesn't really stand a chance. But she kind of does some like head gamey stuff. I mean, like, there's only one of me, so you can't all pass. But then there's the knocked out people outside, so it's kind of like, okay, let's pick and choose who fails here. And I also love Momo gets a very determined face at one point. She looks very tired, but it's like it's a good face. Mm-hmm. And the boys are. Sorry, do you want to say anything else?
The only thing I had was that I wasn't too keen on the flashbacks to Izuku, but I guess they need to. He's in it a little bit at the end, but they need to shoehorn the main character in. But it's not the worst.
I kind of liked it because it was very much like they're very short flashbacks, and they kind of like are very like meaningful in the moment. But it was very much kind of like, okay, if he's the main character, we're gonna call back to this, kind of like planting the seeds for something that'll happen later on. And the boys are climbing the ladder. Kirishima asks, why did you follow us? And Kaminari's like, you guys started running, and I was lonely, even though he was, like, surrounded by his class. But I guess these people are, like, the ones that he really considers friends. And I just had a moment, like, I was writing my notes, and I was like, oh, I'll just write Kaminari as, like, Kami, because that's shorter. And I was like, wait a second, that's God in Japanese. And then I was like, wait a sec, and Nell has electric powers, and he's the Kami. And I was like, that's a goddamn pun! And I got very angry about One Piece in My Hero Academia, making puns. Because Kaminari's name is literally lightning bolt in Japanese. Like, it's literally what his name is.
You got angry?
Yeah, I'm not angry, but, like, when someone makes a pun, and you get mad about it?
No.
It's not like anger. Oh, no. It's not like anger. It's more like joke anger, or more like, oh, you got me good, or like, how did I not realize this sooner?
Okay, now I get you.
Not like, I don't know how to explain pun angry.
Angry.
Sorry. Yes. Hungry. That sounds like hungry. And Bakodo just yelled, oh, sorry, I wrote Bakodo, shit! Bakugo! Bakugo yells, shut up! Bakugo in the bloopers if we have any. And Kaminari asks, what is with that tone? And he says it in a very, like, mocking voice, a little bit, or kind of, like, annoyed voice. I just love that they can kind of do that about Bakugo. And Kirishima says, I told you to stop that. It's like, I love that Kirishima's like, he's such a good friend and like a good guy. He's like, you're my friend, but can you please stop being a jerk all the time?
And he reprimands him twice in 30 seconds.
And he says, it looks like there's a bunch of people up there, so we should work together. And Bakugo just says, die! And it translates as no way. But he literally just, shine means die. And I think we had the Bakugo murder jar, and that's one in the jar. I don't know, we haven't really been keeping track of it, but that's one.
Yeah, he's not been a huge, he's not been very die since we started it, so one for the murder jar.
Yeah, and Kirishima says again, I told you to stop saying that. And we get a shot of some cool black shoes with a red line along the bottom, which is, like, very stylish. And they go up, and then Kirishima pushes Bakugo out of the way and gets hit by flesh. He turns it into a meat potato, mashed potato, tater salad. Like, there's little fingers that are really gross. It's just really, really gross.
Yeah, I like that as he was transforming, he flew. Mm-hmm. He flew up in the air into this guy's palm, just for the guy to throw him on the floor.
Aww. I think, did you want to say what it looks like medically?
Yeah, so, depending on how you are with things that are a bit more, I don't think it's gruesome, because it's something that happens naturally, so I don't think that could ever be seen as gruesome. But if you've got a more sensitive stomach, don't Google it. But if you think you'll be fine, Google dermoid cyst. And there's cysts that grow naturally in people. They can grow anywhere. Usually it's in the ovaries. And things like teeth and hair will grow out of this cyst. And it looks like these like meat piles that are created here. But I've given you a disclaimer, so don't come back at me if you think it's disgusting.
Yeah, okay. This is just a very Nordic. It is really gross. So don't look at it if you're eating, or if you at all don't like gross things, because
it's worse when they make him pulse as well.
Yeah, like, ugh.
Why is he pulsating?
And yeah. And Bakugo says, oh, basically that bastard did it, right? And we learn that bastard's name is Seiji Shishikura. And he has purple hair. He has like a cool red eye mask. He's very stylish. And Baku says, like, I'll kill you. Like, oh, that's a second murder. Like, he's just like, okay, I get to, like, let loose here.
2 in the jar.
And I love, sorry. Oh, yeah, 2 in the jar. And I love that we see that, like, Baku has his eye mask. And the little, like, the bomb bits exactly match his hair.
I mean, we've seen this guy, Seiji, in episode 53, but I don't think we learnt what his name was then, did we?
Or his quirk, and now we know. And he's like, his name's alliterative. It's like SS, and he goes to a school that starts with an F. And it's just like, how committed are you to the S thing? Like, are you going to be, or I don't know, he's S-man. And we learn that 60 people have passed, and we see a bit of Shindo in the rubble. And I started to write him as Shindo because like you call him that. You always say his full name. So I'm always like, wait, what's his name? And we go back to, and like I guess it's letting us know that he's nearby. And we go back to Zero and Ochako and Deku. They're all talking about how people are passing in groups, which is bad. But at least they can do something about the group near them. They have some, like, handy targets to get. And I think Deku says, like, oh, I have a plan. And Zero's like, oh, that's amazing. It's like, what do you mean? And Deku kind of goes into it that the guy who launched his hand at fake Ochako, he panicked. And, like, a large group is going to fight... a large group going after a small one, they'll end up fighting over prey. And Ochako says if they keep leaving, like if they keep getting out and like if they keep winning, their numbers will dwindle and they'll be at a disadvantage.
Mm.
And Zero says, are you saying we should all stay together? And Deku says it's easy to think of it as target practice without knowing your enemy's quirk. It's not easy or efficient to go after moving targets that are being protected. Oh, first we need to restrain enough people for everyone to pass and only use balls after they can't move anymore. And he's hoping that Class A has a lot of zone control people who could have helped with that and like more restricted people. But luckily he literally has the tape hero with him, like who's just a restraining man, basically.
Yeah.
And this is what they're really trying to test out, how like you can immobilize people.
There was quite a lot of exposition there, wasn't there?
Yeah. And this is all in the manga as well, right?
It was all in the manga, yeah. It felt a lot quicker there.
It can go faster because it can just be like one panel and then have like Deku talking a lot and them sitting. And I love that, which was like, shh, they're like, I think they're nearby. They're getting closer. And Deku says, oh, go all out. I'll be the decoy so they can find openings to restrain as many enemies as possible. Your guys' quirks are better for restraining people. Because like once you float, you can't really control yourself. And Zero says, like, there's only 3 of us, and then if we lose one, there's no way. And Ochiko's the one who says, Roger. And Zero's like, what? And she says, let's do it, Zero. And he's won over by Ochako, not Deku.
I guess there's no point in him really arguing it because they're both all for it.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you're like, a group of 3 isn't a democracy.
Yeah.
So you might as well save time, but like, okay, I'll go along with you 2 then.
Yeah, and he's like, I guess he's not as close to Deku, so he doesn't have like as much like blind, or not like blind faith, but like he doesn't have as much earned trust in Deku as everyone else does. So I love that it's like a bit of realism to that. And like everyone else is sitting down, but Zero's like, no, I have to squat. And again, he has his mask down. And it's just like, why? Just have your mask up if you're talking to people. It's rude to have it down. And it stresses me out. And Ochako says she trusts Deku. He's pulled through enough times that she knows she can trust him. And then the Shiketsu student is talking about how we're obligated to wear our uniform hats when working. Because all of our actions are crowned by the tradition of the name of Shiketsu High School. And it's like, okay, like, it's like being very extra. And then he drops Kirishima and he says, it's a demonstration of power. We place great importance on obligation and dignity. Since the start of education, there's been a great difference in level between us and you vulgar, ordinary people. And then, like you mentioned, Kirishima twitches.
Yeah, he waffles. Even in the manga, he really waffles on.
Or, waffles like rambles?
Waffles?
What is waffle?
Do you have that term?
No.
Like, if someone waffles on, they just go on and on.
I guess, like...
So he's just, like, waffling away. It doesn't make sense, actually, because a waffle is just food.
I guess, like, waffles don't have a lot of nutrients, so they're just, like, I guess waffling for us is more like if someone's waffling, they're, like, unsure, like, they're wavering. I don't actually know if you say waffling. He's waffling. I think you say he's wavering. I don't know
if it's waffling. I don't think it's waffling over waffles. But you know, when you waft someone, it's just going on for ages, and it's about nothing. Mm-hmm. I don't know where it comes from. I don't know the origins of it, but waffling away is a term we use.
The perks and oddities and funness of international podcasts. You learn something new every day.
Oh, my favourite is I've got a friend from the Netherlands,
Mhm.
and they've got a saying which is like if someone's being really fancy, they'll say like, "Oh, don't slide on in here with your salmon sandwich," because salmon's expensive, and I've adopted that, so
That's
you're welcome.
amazing. We need to find this guy is he's really coming in with his salmon sandwich. Oh, I love different linguistic stuff. Interesting. And Bakugo's sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it wasn't very interesting. All I was going to say was I wonder where salmon would be in my posh food spectrum.
Yes, we need to know. Is it above truffles?
No, it's below truffles.
Okay. What was the top one again? Was it caviar?
Caviar was above that.
Okay.
I googled posh food because I don't know why, but I was committed to this, and I found foie gras was the most fancy, but because it's so cruel, I was like, no, I can't mention that. It doesn't deserve to be on a spectrum.
What's foie gras?
Foie gras is extremely cruel. It's where they force feed ducks by putting tubes in their mouths. They get really, really fat, and then they kill them, and you're eating like a big fat force-fed duck. It's very mean.
No. Oh, okay. And Bakugo smiles again, saying, "I hate your type." And Kaminari doesn't understand what the guy's saying. He can't understand the process. And like, is he speaking like very fancy Japanese or something? Is that why he like using really big words? Because his words aren't even that big in English. I guess like obligation is big. Like, I don't get why he doesn't understand him.
Maybe he doesn't understand what he's talking about because he's just going on, and it's kind of about nonsense, really, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's basically just like, oh, I'm better than you because of all this jazz. It's like, whatever, you're talking about a hat. And Bakugo just goes straight for insulting physical appearance. He says, your eyes, oh no, he just says his eyes are too small. He can't see the true strength of his opponents. And Kaminari's kind of like hiding behind Bakugo a little bit. And the guy says, my eyes are handsome and long in length. And I love that. Long in length is such like, it's the best part.
Imagine him measuring his eyes.
Oh, the poor...
They are 3 luscious centimetres.
That is the average length. It is normal. They're better than everyone else because they're longer. I don't know.
You shall not slander my long eyes.
They're beautiful. And Kaminari says it looks like it's his soft spot, and stop saying stop saying stuff like that. I can't talk. Stop saying stuff like that. And Bakugo just tisks. And Seiji says he respects UA and takes pride that they're counted as equals, but you lot continuously act in a way that causes dignity to decline. And he meets up his hands behind his back, making them into big, floating fingers. And Kaminari's like, he's doing the thing! It's the gross thing again! And Bakugo says, shut up! And Bakugo says, obligation, dignity. In my notes I wrote dognity, which I think is better than dignity because it has dogs. You just won't stop talking. Show us your actions, not your mouth, sir. And he calls him senpai. But I love the sir is so good because it's just like, ugh. And then Seiji says, especially you, Bakugo. And then we cut to Deku running as there's blasts around him. Yeah, he wants to draw as many opponents to one location as he can. And Miss Joke offers Eraserhead gum. We get, like, there's a guy with the 3-hole mask watching what's going on. And then there's 2 people who literally are the exact same person. They're a guy with black hair and glasses. They're doing even the same pose. They just moved him further back. It's like, it's the same person twice. Why?
What's your issue with identical twins?
True. I just think it's a little lazy animation, but the rest of this episode has been like amazing animation, so I can't chirp at it too much. I like looking for background characters. Eraser doesn't even look. He just says, it's the kind that traps your finger, right? and it just makes me think like she probably got in before and says, no thanks. And she doesn't react. He says it's frustrating not being able to see who failed and who passed. And she eats the gum, which means it was safe. She just genuinely wanted to give him gum.
Sharing's caring.
Yeah, and she says, our Shindo made it harder to see by splitting the ground. And then she goes, wait a sec, but what? Are you worried about them? And Eraserhead says he realized after watching UA for a while, he learned that they might not realize it, but there are 2 people in the class whose presence has a big effect. They're not leaders or the most popular. And as he's saying this, it cuts to Deku fighting, like he's evading these people. They're all throwing balls. We get a guy who's a big mouse. There's a nurse lady. And there's a girl or somebody who has like a wispy head. There's a robot. It's interesting. And then there's a guy with glasses and a girl who has a sailor suit on, and she just kind of looks cool. I like her hair. And the 2 of them don't get along. And before he said that, for some reason, I thought he was talking about Momo and then like someone else, because I forgot what show I was watching, and I forgot who the main characters were apparently. The 2 of them don't get along, so all fingers going to... Oh, yeah, it all points to Bakugo. Oh, Bakugo and Deku. I wrote B and K, because like, K is in no way Deku. I have no idea what I'm writing. He's talking about Deku and Bakugo, and before I knew it, their passion spread to the rest of the class, and Zero and Ochako fly in, and they manage to tap everyone, float them, and tape them up. And a metal chomp appears to eat Midoriya. And it's strange, one of them is always at the center of any major event, almost like they're the protagonist and durotagonist. And he kicks the chomp, breaking into pieces, which makes me think of when he broke the big robot in the first exam. But this time there's no broken bones, and like he had help from Ochako landing, but this time it's very much like strategy, and it's like he's not on his own here, but it definitely made me think of that. I don't know if it was like do you know if the chomp was in the manga? And Bakugo uses AP shot for no reason. I guess like I think of it as more like armor piercing shots, but this way it's just like a way he's able to shoot little shots of flame, and I think we'll later learn that it wasn't for no reason. I'm just being mean to Bakugo for no reason. Eraser says he's not worried. I can't wait to see what they'll do. And we cut from a cool Bakugo to a running Deku. And even if they're not physically with everyone, their presence raises the standard for the whole class. The 2 girls are helping Momo walk. Joke blows bubbles and says, you've fallen for them hard, huh? Gross. And Eraser is like, that's my class 1A. And we end on a very cool shot of Deku and Bakugo.
It was an interesting time for it to end on Deku and on like Izuku and Bakugo, because this week one of the towers in Tokyo lit up orange and green, didn't it? Yep. For Bakugo and Izuku to commemorate the film coming out.
Yeah, or I think like
good ending.
Yeah, people could vote on what they wanted. I know some people were very much like because I think there were a set number of colors. I know there was a Bakugo Ochako one, and there was this one, and I think there was one other one. But I think it's good they won. People are making it like it's kind of a shipping war almost, but I think it's more like they're the main characters of the manga. I think it makes sense. Like they're the protagonist and durotagonist, or whatever you want to call it. It's cool. Like it is very fitting.
Yeah. And
I think it's an interesting spot to end it because they managed to make it fit into the filler, and the fights. Both their fights aren't done yet, but they're able to kind of have that episode break in a good spot. Like I don't know. It was interesting. I don't know. Yes.
On a food spectrum, with 5 being your number 1 food and 0 being the worst food, where would you put this episode? Would you give it... Oh, we could do it in caviars. Would you give it 5 caviars, 3 caviars, 2 caviars?
I was trying to think of what my favorite food is. I think I'd give it roast chickens. I'd give it a 5 or like a 4.5. Because I think it was really fun. Like I thought the filler was really like interesting. And it was also made it like interesting watching the episode because I was like genuinely going like, I don't know what's going to happen next. And I also realized like I forgot how Deku passed. Like I forgot what their plan was. So I was kind of like, oh yeah, like the manga's the anime's like reminding me of what happened. So like I thought it was a really fun episode. So I'll give it a roast chicken, and now I want to go buy a roast chicken.
I think I would. I wasn't too keen on it, but that isn't really because it was a bad episode. That's because I'm so excited about Kaminari and Bakugo fighting their enemy. What was his name? I have it written down. But yeah, Seiji, because
Seiji. I keep wanting to call him Shinji. I want to call him Shinji, but he's Seiji. Yeah, Seiji, whatever.
I'm so excited for that fight. I thought we'd see more of it in this episode. And I mean, when I rewatch it again after I've seen the next episode, I'll like it more. But I was like, yeah, I get to see this fight. And this was my favourite fight, I think, out of this whole arc. And we didn't get that, so I was so sad that I'd give it probably a 2.5, which would be like something like a boring snack like crisps or something. It'd be crisps. It's just whatever. You can have crisps, you can take crisps, or you can leave crisps.
I guess like if they hadn't have had the filler, they probably could have fit both in.
At the same time, I do like that it ended on Ozawa saying about Bakugo and Izuku spurring everyone else on.
But I think like they're using their filler like very wisely. None of it's been like longer. I guess the Todoroki one was like the ending and the beginning of an episode, so it technically spanned 2, but they're not doing like 4 episodes of like following this fight. And there was one crowd character when Shoto entered the passing area who really looked like the girl who was paired with Asui during the internship thing. He kind of had like a fish thing going on.
Yeah, I know what you mean. There's a few people who've had those kind of ears. Yeah, no, I know who you meant. I clocked her as well.
Okay.
This is my hero academia. This is manga news and more. Plus Ultra. Ooh, they're my hero academia.
So welcome back to the 7th episode of the My Hero Academia podcast. We're going to start our manga chapter review, which is manga chapter 193 entitled Vestiges. So, sorry, I need to open the full screen it. Okay, so we see Izuku again. He's still blacked out except for his eyes and the fingers of his right hand. And he's thinking to himself, I can't speak. I feel nothing from my nose down. And I only have my right hand. I'm stuck in this one spot. Probably because I have no legs.
I love that it's Prawley. Sorry, I'm interrupting. He says Prawley, not probably. It's like Prawley? It's like, that's interesting.
I wonder if it's because his mouth's kind of blacked out, so maybe he's not using his words properly. I don't know. It made me laugh, though.
Yeah, I think it almost might be a spelling mistake.
I'm stuck in this one spot. Probably because I have no legs. He's looking and he's saying, there are 2 more of them past All Might. Too far away for me to make them out. The first person cultivates the power and then passes it to another. The next refines it and passes it on again. In this way, those crying out to be saved and those with brave and true hearts link to form a crystalline network. Link to form a crystallized network of power. 7 of them, 8 including me. The generations of one for all. I know I'm the 9th, leaving only... ...
Okay, I just want to say really quickly, the 2 shaded figures, a lot of people have pointed out that it really looks like Kirishima and Bakugo. Like, it even has the, like, Kirishima's, like, gears, and, like, the hair really looks like Bakugo. Doesn't make any sense.
They look similar. I wouldn't have thought of that, though, because the first guy that's backed out that we see, his hair is crazy.
And also, like, when it pans out, you can see them further, their full silhouette. The guy even has Bakugo gauntlets, almost. Like...
But then the guy that's next to the first one that's blacked out has got a very unusual lower half.
Oh no, I think that's just. Or the last guy in line.
The guy in front of the first one that's blacked out.
Oh,
so the last. Oh no, that's All Might, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm being silly. I was thinking that he looks really weird, and then part of me was thinking it looks like he's got giant testicles.
I didn't even see that. It does. I guess it's because he's not finished yet, so he's more wispy. But it really does look like his butt's at the front of him.
Now that you've heard the giant testicle theory, can you unsee the giant testicles?
No. But I've heard a cooler theory that people think that the one that looks like Hiroshima could be Crimson Riot, maybe. But Crimson Riot's horn was out at the front of his head. It didn't go out back, I don't think.
I don't have enough memory of Crimson Riot to be sure. I can neither confirm nor deny this idea.
Oh no, his hair, there was jaggedy bits. It was at the front, but it also had jaggedy bits outside. But it didn't look like, his hair didn't look like that, though, for sure.
It's interesting that they're faded out, though.
Yeah, like, were they evil? Like, what happened here? Or I guess he hasn't got enough power to see them yet. He hasn't unlocked. It's DLC. He hasn't gotten enough money to see them yet.
The guy.
Downloadable content.
The guy,
right.
2 persons away from Nana. I wonder if he was her mentor, because his outfit is extremely similar to hers. So I wonder if he passed it on to her, and her costume was inspired by him.
Because he has the cape and like glove, like weird looking thingy.
Yeah, the gloves and the belt as well.
I wish they were in order. Like if they were in order, it would be easier to kind of like gather stuff. But
I wonder what the relevance for this order could be.
I guess maybe it's order of the people who had the most control over the power. Like maybe Nana had the least control, and then like All Might had more, and then these last 2 are people that like went beyond plus Ultra with it, and that's why All Might's closer to them because he also had really good control.
No idea.
I don't know. Or it's the opposite, that maybe Nana had the most control over it.
So we go on to the next page, and we see. We know from the brief flashbacks that we've had in the past that this is All for One. I get All for One and One for All muddled up so much.
Mm-hmm.
He's saying, I can't do voices. Shall I try and do a voice?
If you want to. I'm going to try to do a voice and I do it, but you don't have to.
No, I can't. I can feel it coming on and just being, why the hurtful tone? And that's not ominous.
I think that's good. Yeah, okay, just do whatever you feel like.
Saying, why the hurtful tone, especially since I'm meeting you halfway, or is tolerance not included in your righteous ideals? I'm guessing the sound effects are of wind coming crashing to him. He's got a shoom, and we can see there's 2 onlookers to the left. He's saying to him, the brother's saying, the world's in chaos now, and meta powers should be used for personal gain. Yet all you think about is how to fulfill your own desires. In the middle of this confrontation, we have Izuku's face. I'd never forget that voice. All for One, the 2 brothers, which means the younger one is the first wielder. And he looks super shabby.
Oh yeah. And they call it meta power, so it's like it's so far back that they don't actually have the term quirk yet, which is kind of cool.
I like that his eyes are blacked out still. All for One.
Oh yeah. Oh, I didn't even really. That's interesting, and yeah, you're right. I didn't think about that, and it's funny that Deku's all eyes here, but they don't quite have eyes yet. I didn't notice that. That's really cool. Sorry.
No, I like the contrast, but he's saying, but I give back to them, don't I? Come, you 2. Izuku's still thinking, they haven't noticed me. Is this a vision of the past, a dream? And as he's saying this, All for One is ushering. They're white silhouettes in the background, but I'm thinking, are they the 2 that were on the other page? Who knows? He brings them forward and introduces them. He says, This one's jaw underwent a transformation. Those fangs just continue to sprout all over. He's a kind, reserved man who has to care for his aging parents. But those very same parents chased him out, calling him a diseased monster. And the guy is looking really uncomfortable and unassured. And then below him is someone with a very different face. He's just if this guy was in England, he would be just like your typical football hooligan. Just no, yeah, not an average broker, just a cretin, like a football hooligan, the ones that start all the fights and call out slurs and just naughty men. And he looks very angry. And he introduces this guy saying, while this one has no ability at all, walking home from work one night, he was assaulted by a gang of metas. The taser he carried for self-defense proved useless, and an attacker with tentacles for hair crippled him. And he's about to do something because we see his brother going in saying, don't do that, don't do it. There's no going back, as he tries to swoop into action, but he just gets knocked to the ground. Fanged gentleman is saying please, and Bald Man is asking for it to be quick. All for One puts his hands on both their heads, and then shwoop.
Yep. And they both get like a jolt of shock, and the brother falls to the ground, and we actually get to see really what Fanged Guy looks like. He's like, oh my god, I'm normal. Well, Baldy got spiky quirk, and he looks especially evil. He gets very shaded, and Deku's just watching. And I think he might be clapping here. Well, All for One says, should I find myself in need, you two will come running, yes? Of course, sir. Oh, my parents will be so happy. Thank you for this. Oh, I'll never forget the debt I owe you. The world's in chaos you speak of. What world is that? What is it you see exactly? I see people in need and a way to use my power for their sake. And the brother replies, you're twisting things around. All you did is recruit 2 more loyal servants. They needed something to cling to. Someone. By denying me, you deny the joy I have brought them. In a world looking less and less human, my powers will restore order. So which one of us is the real egomaniac? And I love that he kind of has his finger on his lips, like silencing him. And we get a better shot of his chin, and it looks like it's very like a heroic chin. Like it almost looks like All Might's chin, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense. And I can't talk. The brother yells out, "You're exploiting their weaknesses. Where's the order in that? And it's convenient how you forgot the ones you manipulated and tossed aside when they stopped being useful." And we see a figure jumping in.
This page, it kind of got me rooting just for a second for All for One. I was like, oh, he's helped 2 people out, even though angry bald-headed man is probably going to go start some fights at Millwall, but whatever. I was like, oh, he's doing a nice thing. He's helping them out. Maybe he's not so bad.
Yeah, and I guess like he's kind of able to like logic his way, being like, oh, I'm just helping people. But the brother's able to point out like you're helping them for your own gain, and like you're going to use them later for something nefarious. So it's like good for evil, kind of. And I think it would have been interesting if I don't know how you would have done it, but if there had been a way for us not to know which brother is which, and it had been longer, so then it would have been like a shock of reveal of which one is All for One. If they'd had like similar values, then they diverged a little. Like I don't know. I think it would have been interesting if we'd like it'd been a bit unclear which brother was which. But I guess it's better just kind of be like, he started out as someone who you could kind of root for. It almost makes me think of Thanos a bit, how, like, I had someone at work genuinely go to me like, oh, Thanos was right. And I was like, but he killed after you. Okay, sorry. Put this back. Put spoilers for Infinity Wars. But he killed half the people.
Spoiler, I didn't know people died.
Have you not seen it yet? Okay, good. But, yeah, it's just like, it's interesting. He's a villain who, like, you could almost root for. And it makes me think of Stain, too, how people could, like, kind of see, like, he kind of has a point, but he's doing it wrong. Like, I don't know, it's interesting. It's not as clean cut, but it still is clean cut. I don't know, it's interesting.
Yeah, it's what he's using the favours for. But I mean, if you were just to take it from those 2 pages, you could say that he's just towing a grey line.
Yeah.
If he was going to be like, you owe me a favour, I don't want to wash my dishes.
I thought you were going to say something else. I heard the start of D, and I was like, I don't want to wash my dick. And I was like, what? Sorry. Cut that out, please.
Our most recent episodes have had more genitalia chat than I thought they ever would.
That's what I tried to watch our YouTube, like the YouTube thing, and I couldn't watch it at work because it was restricted. So I feel like someone reported us because we said the F-bomb too much, and I feel like it was me mostly. So, yeah, we need to be as someone. Okay, no, never mind. Okay, and we see this masked figure has like God on his back. And All For One says, "Whoa there, be gentle, he's a fragile one. Meet my bodyguard, I'm getting somewhat famous after all." And the bodyguard says, "Nobody insults the boss on my watch." Ah, how pitiful. Those born without meta powers of their own lack the strength to see their convictions through. Still, I do love you, poor brother of mine, my only family. And we get a cool shot of like Deku kind of through the mist, like he's just like watching this, and there's a lot of mist around as well. And I guess that might be that it's limited what of the past he can see. It's mainly just around All For One for All, like the person who will get one for all of what he can see, and like he doesn't have enough power to quite see everything yet. Like I love the shot we get of like the burning buildings, but it might actually be flame, or it might just be the thingy.
Yeah, I think it's just the aesthetic from Izuku's point of view, but who knows?
Yeah, and then we go like back then, the very definition of humanity started to come apart at the seams, and we see like people are rioting, like tentacle people are attacking cars. There's a guy with a stick or a sword. There's some hectic stuff going on. I can't really. Oh, there's a big guy. Okay. I don't know. Sorry. And it was in that chaotic era that a leader emerged to unite the people. And it's just, I love that it's 2 black panels in a row. Like it's very exciting. And then we see All For One doing this. We see One For All doing a very like scary pose.
In that panel where they're all kind of fighting each other, there's a guy who looks like he might have the start of Camille Woods' quirk.
Oh!
It looks like his arms are turning into tree arms.
I think so, yeah.
So we go on to the next page, and it's the people that we're all fighting. He's taking away their quirks, so they're going back to regular people, taking away their extra strength so they can have a normal fight, or just not fight. He's saying, "To you, the powerless, I present a choice." Someone with a knife is holding up a knife. It looks as though they're going to stab the person who's screaming, but then we see the person who's screaming underneath the eyes of All For One. "Forgiveness for those who've sinned. I give all whatever they seek." So I wonder if the guy who's screaming is asking, he's asking for help. And then All For One is giving his outreached hands, which makes sense with the giving help and saying, "That is, if you agree to join me." So it's, to you the powerless, I present a choice. Forgiveness for those who've sinned. I give to all whatever they may seek. That is, if you agree to join me. And then he's walking along this large group of people who are all blacked out, so we can't see their faces. There's a big whoosh, and it flashes in time again to All For One coming into a pitiful looking empty barren room. And the door, it's like a reinforced door as well. It was a vault door, so he's keeping his brother locked in this derelict room.
I just realized that too. I didn't see that before.
And he's coming and saying, "Oh, still refusing to eat? You're wasting away, brother. How sad."
And I just want to point out the guy with the knife. We see him a little like the panel before when we get all for one's doing the like hand motion. He's like, eh, and then like we see the guy with the knife. So it's like kind of just a bit before. And I just like that, like without quirks. He hasn't. It just makes me think of the little kid in that like Vine or like the Twitter thing where it was like, "What do you have there?" Like a kid running by, he's like, "A knife," and it's like, "No," and it just makes me think of that.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Oh, I'll send it to you.
Thank
it's pretty
you.
funny.
So on to the next page, and the brother who looks being kept in a room I'm guessing doesn't have windows is how you get pneumonia, because it's probably definitely got damp. He's got fluid in his lungs. Yeah. He's coughing. He's saying, "You'll never convince me to do things your way." That was my cough.
I thought you were like hissing.
That's better. I don't know what I was doing. I was a cat bringing up a furball.
Yay.
We see All for One again, and his eyes are still blacked out, but it's very narrow now. And he's saying, "Now, come on, just give in." Some of those metas form gangs abusing their power to commit petty mischief. One such group stood up to me. They rejected my new world order. Their mere existence was a threat. And so they were eliminated. And it looks like the people that are running away are all running away in a uniform. So I'm wondering if that was the bar they met at, or a school or something. Probably a restaurant. But he's blowing up a building.
He just hated Walmart. And he's like, "Walmart's against me," and he blew it up. Because it looks like they're just like store people. Like, or maybe they're like first responders or something, but somebody blew up the building, and I like it was some kind of thing. I just find it fun. It'd be funny if he his, or not funny, but it'd be tragic if his like, if it was that like a major corporation spoke out against him. Well, I guess he said it was he didn't say they were villains. He just said someone rejected his world order. Oh no, there's abusing. Okay, never mind. He says they're criminals. Never mind. Okay, never mind. It's not Walmart.
This is where we learn that he's actually a communist and he's trying to take down large chains to give back to the people.
That's what I was thinking, that if he got mad because some people were like, "Oh, these people are doing like bad stuff, so watch out for that," just as like a PSA, and then he's like, "How dare you speak up against me?" He did like the Scientology thing where he sues or attacks anybody who speaks out against him. But they were other gangs.
And then he continues saying, "Not on my orders, mind you. My many friends just respect me that much. They act on their own, all in pursuit of order. It's thrilling how they move as if according to my will. It's like a dream come true. Just like in that comic you used to read." And now around his eyes is blacked out, but his eyes are just shining through.
I like didn't notice that. Then as you're reading the other pen, I looked over and I got like shivers down my spine when I saw that. It's just like, ugh, it's so creepy.
I think this is where his character, you start to see that he's a bad man, whereas before you weren't so sure, but now it takes a turn. He's saying, "You only read through volume 3. There was more to the story. The demon lord did conquer the world, yes, but the hero fighting for justice struggled past the pain and managed to save everyone. Get it, brother? The villain always loses in the end. Yes, fantasy has become reality, but reality doesn't follow the old playbook." As he's saying that, he grabs onto his brother's face, and Izuku's reaching out for him. But did you have anything to say about the cartoons in the background?
Oh yes, because it kind of reminds me of Nana's costume, and also we know All Might's old costume also had a cape, so it's kind of like calling back to that. And what was I gonna say? Oh, when he's talking about, or did you also want to say anything about the costume?
Not really.
Oh, when he was talking about, oh, like, I didn't tell them to do it, they just did it. It makes me think of, like, there's certain YouTubers or people who they're like, oh, I didn't, like, tell my followers to attack these people or, like, do this violence, but they just, like, decide to do it, but he's not, like, they're not telling them not to do it. So this is, like, very relevant to current day, I think. Like, of how you could use your followers and kind of, like, I don't know, it's just, like, I think it's very relevant. And, okay, or do you want to say anything
just
about that?
It gave me cult vibes.
Yeah.
Like, they're worshipping like a god, so they're just interpreting his will and acting like crazy cultists.
Yeah. And when they start talking about, like, it's kind of funny, he's like, oh, just like that comic book you read. Have you ever watched How I Met Your Mother?
Not enough to probably know this reference you'll quote.
Do you know who Barney is in that? Not the purple dinosaur?
Yes.
Okay, but at one point they learned that Barney, when he was a kid, he always cheered for the villains in TV shows, like, or in, like, Bambi, he cheered for the hunter who shot Bambi's mom, or, like, in Karate Kid, he cheered for the kid who, like, the kid was training to beat. So it really made me think of that he, like, had kind of, like, a warped thing of, like, who he was cheering for. Like, he didn't even finish it. He just, after 3 volumes, he just, like, oh, okay, the villain's the one who's gonna win, right? And he kind of, like, stopped reading and then wrote his own mental reality fan fiction where the bad guy wins.
Yeah. But I guess it's like, if he had one, he could change it around and make himself the hero. Because there's that saying in history, isn't there? The narrative belongs to the winners.
Yeah, history is written by the victors, I think is the saying.
There we go. That's it.
Yeah. Sorry. And also, but the fact is that, like, this isn't super, like, his existence was, like, erased. Like, Deku didn't know about this, really, at all. Like, they kind of learned about it after the fact. Like, he only learned about it once it was brought to his attention. It's not, like, taught in schools that this happened. So he was, like, erased from history. Whether by his own actions or whether, like, the good guys were like, oh, we don't want people to hear about this bad guy. And I love that, like, he's reaching out to his brother, and then Deku's, like, reaching out to stop him, being like, oh, no. Deku's lunging towards him. There's a sound effect, lunge. And the All for One says, if you refuse to submit, I'll just rewrite the story. You matter to me. And the brother goes, stop, no. So I'm dug up a meta ability even for you in your feeble state can use. Walk this path with me. And we get a shot of Deku, and we get a gadum. And it cuts away, so the vision ends just as he's being given the power. And something's speaking to him saying, you must be the 9th. And we get a flashback to All Might. Whatever those Vestiges were, chapter title drop, they can't directly interfere with or influence you, nor can you affect them. He's talking to me now? I wanted to show you more. You're only at 20%. Was All Might wrong? Be careful, we've already passed the singularity. But fear not, and they almost touch hands. And all black panel, you're not alone. And we get the doom, and Aoyama he gets jolted awake. I thought he was sleeping with his eyes open, but that's his eyes opening while he still has the sleep snot. And he's like, huh? He's like, Midoriya, it's a bit late for that racket you're making, and your door's open. I love his pajamas.
Oh, they're so wonderful. And that hat is ridiculous.
Yes. Oh, but I got so excited because I thought my theory was going to be right. That, like, we thought that Aoyama would come in and wake Deku up and, like, interrupt the vision or whatever. And I got really excited. But we immediately see that Deku's already awake and his bed's burned, his chairs, and, like, there was a burst of wind too, like, posters are down. And he's looking at his arm, and it looks like it's activated in like full cowling, or there's scars on his hands. It's hard to tell which is which. And his wrist is like his sleeve was burned, like it's torn.
I think he created the damage around here because with his hand, those marks on his hand there, because the door, when Aoyama comes in, he says that the door's open. So I wonder if he made this big boom and the gust of wind opened the door, forced the door open.
Mm-hmm. And like, what is he getting the quirks that the previous users had?
I don't know. I think he's just, because we've not, All Might, as far as we know, hasn't used any other quirks, and Izuku, his number one fan, hasn't mentioned any other quirks to him, unless Izuku had another quirk that was dormant, and it is somehow allowing him to talk to the original owner, to the brother, but it's still not much is known, and I don't think anything will be known for a while, because if All Might said that he could never converse with any of them, he just saw their images, then it's not like he's going to be able to pass on to Izuku like, oh, if you want to have a chat with him, just clip your shiny red shoes 3 times and you'll go.
Or it's like, I lied, I've talked to them all the time.
Best bros.
Yeah. it's weird. And also just like, maybe, and okay, he mentions that we've already passed the singularity, and I'm just going to shout out Caleb, the translator for the series. He's at CDC Cubed. Okay, at CD Cubed. And the singularity, Tokoten, it was first explained by Shishikura, the meatball boy. I'm literally reading off his tweet here. The quirk singularity doomsday theory foretells of a point in time when quirks evolved out of control, basically causing the apocalypse. And I think, I was thinking, and it's basically the idea that quirks get powerful. People think of the quirks as getting more powerful each generation because it's merging of different quirks. So then, like, if so many merge, eventually it's just going to be a monstrosity created. And I wonder if, like, Deku's unlocked, like, he has, like, multiple quirks, because he did fire here, or, like, explosion of some kind. So now he has 2 quirks. Like, he might have a bunch, and there's no way to explain that.
Unless it's evolved, because we know that the quirk has got stronger with each person that's used it.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the quirk itself has evolved.
But I mean, like, to Eraserhead, he's like, oh, by the way, you know how you all thought I had, like, the quirk called superpower, or, like, being just strong? I can make fire now for some reason, so let's just not talk about that.
He could just pose it as a super move, because, I mean, Sue can now go semi-invisible.
Mm-hmm.
And she couldn't do that before, so that's never like a development in her quirk. So he could just be like, super move.
Yeah, I guess so. But I just want to know, like, does he have a lot of quirks now? Or is it that, like, maybe it unlocked the quirk he actually had? Like, maybe he did have a quirk and they just, like, never realized it because it was, like, genetically locked or something? Because his dad could breathe fire, so maybe that's what it is? He has to buy all new stuff now, too.
Oh, it's expensive, these chatty dreams.
Yeah, and
I don't know. I think he's just evolved. He's just evolved a new way that he can use his quirk. I didn't actually make any theories this chapter because I was too taken in by Aoyama's outfit.
Yes.
It's a onesie.
Or one thing I wonder, when he gave his brother that quirk, do you think it was just a power storing one? But I was I was kind of thinking of, like, when Deku first got the quirk, he always broke his bones. So I wonder, like, when he first got that quirk, was it like a way to, like, hurt his sick brother more already?
But the quirk because I guess he didn't give the power. He didn't give his brother the quirk to move quirks on. That's the quirk that the brother had originally.
Yeah.
He gave him the strength one. I guess he gave him that as kind of to help him out and also to control him. It
wasn't strength. I think it was just, like, storage. So, like, being able to store power. So maybe the person who he took that from he got that person's strength and his own strength. And even that might be, like, he's a pretty, like, sickly guy. That might even hurt him already.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it could be. Oh, the storage thing I hadn't...
I need to, like, I'm going to double check what One for All is. Oh, forcefully gave his seemingly quirkless little brother a quirk that allowed him to stockpile power within his body. However, the little brother, yeah. So I guess, like...
Storage, you're right.
I wonder, though, if it never said it was, like, it's been now being used to stockpile power and then, like, pass it on. But if there's a way to just stockpile, like, kinetic energy, like, if you're just stocking power, it could be, like, any amount of, like, where are you getting this power from? So there might be more to All for One. Well, sorry, but there was more to One for All than we thought. Like, maybe there's a way to get even stronger.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, this wasn't a chapter for me to theorise. I'm more into characters, character development. So I don't really have any theories on his ability. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. It's just, like, I also, like, I want to know what these people's names are as well.
Oh, I'm so curious, like, about them.
Because then we can stop saying, like, I could stop mixing up One for All and All for One. Because it's just do it constantly.
Imagine if All for One has got a really bland name. Like, I don't know what a bland Japanese name would be, but imagine if he had a really boring Western name like Dave.
Or, yeah, okay.
Sorry to all the Daves out there, but imagine if it was just like Dave.
Yeah.
I am the most powerful and the man in the world. Dave.
But I guess we know that since their names follow a numbering theme, I wonder if his name will be Ichi something. Just name him Ichigo. He can be the bleach guy. That's what I want. Just name him Ichigo. Or that would be Strawberry then. Because Ichi's one.
The brother, not All for One.
No, yeah, no, One for All. Be Ichi something.
Oh, okay. What did you think of this chapter overall?
Overall, I think it was good. I guess, like, it's an interesting flashback that's, like, a flashback, but it also, like, it doesn't really tell us anything new, but it also does. Like, I feel like this is going to be important later, and, like, it also, like, we could get more of this, but also it's kind of just, like, very succinct that it shows him getting the quirk, and then is that done? Like, is there going to be, like, is there more to this story? Like, he wanted to show him more, but what else is there to show?
I wonder if it'll be how if he will take him through the people that in the lineup and show him bits from their memories. But I don't think it's definitely not the last we'll see of that. But I think the story's just going to be that particular story is just going to be paced out.
Every night when Deku goes to bed, or if he daydreams in class. That would be bad if he falls asleep in class and then, like, unleashes whatever this was again. But he's not the type to fall asleep in class. But if he's really tired because he's afraid to sleep because he's afraid that his quirk's gonna do whatever that is. Like, yeah, he's gonna have to explain this to everybody unless he just, like, secretly goes out to the store and buys a bunch of stuff.
Do you think this is going to be the next ongoing arc, or do you think there'll be gaps in between and we'll come back to it?
I don't know, because it'd be funny if there's just a whole arc of, like, Deku being asleep and getting flashbacks of stuff. But I think...
But he said...
Yeah.
But he said, you're only at 20%, I'd like to show you more. So maybe as he gets to, like, 40% and 60%, he'll come back, you're at 40 now, I can show you this. It's me, eating pizza, talking to the number 2 in line.
You've paid $20. You've now unlocked the second stage. It's a video game logic, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm kind of hesitant because we, like, don't know what could happen next in the story. It could, like, literally anything could happen. So, like, I mean, like, even, like, school-wise, there's no, like, he could do, just throw a dart at a board and pick a school activity. Or, like, have internship stuff again. Or, like, more focused training. So I kind of, like, I have the idea of it interrupted, like kind of spaced out throughout one arc, or if it just becomes a thing at the end of every arc. You kind of get the cutscene of he's got this much more power now. But he's probably going to talk to All Might next.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I think you're right there.
So, either All Might will be clueless, or All Might might be like, you should talk to Gran Torino, so he gives him a bit of a runaround. And it would be interesting if you don't have to die. Like, if there are other living previous users of that power that he can talk to besides All Might. Because Nana died, but did the others? Maybe they're shaded because they're still alive.
Oh, I'd love to see just like two elderly gentlemen in a nursing home. He just comes to visit them. They're like, "Why are you here? I just want to watch the rugby. Ping pong's on TV, and then it's basketball."
They're very sports-loving old men. Yeah.
Well, they were active.
Yeah. I'm pulling on to the idea now that it's because they're alive. So he might have to kind of hunt down. He might have to do some like research and do some like hero nerd knowledge and try to deduce, and like he has to like go on Google and be like try to type in their descriptions into Google and try to find out who they are. And like draw a picture and then like try to reverse image search that for similar stuff. I want him to have to like research who these people are. He won't get told it. He'll like have to look it up.
Do you have any more bits to add on this chapter?
Okay, I'm gonna do a quick flip through. I love the no eye thing because like once you point out, it's just kind of like it kind of makes them seem more nefarious. But the good brother, his eyes, it's mainly just his hair in the way.
Yeah, he's got a real dishevelled vibe. Hobo chic.
Yeah. And, I wonder, like, where are their parents? Because he locked his brother up in a vault. Like, where were their parents? They're probably dead or something. Like, there's probably a bit more, like, tragedy to their story. Or something.
Yeah, and now all for one, it's like, I want to be rich because I grew up on nothing. He's the Doflamingo.
Yeah, pretty much. Like Justice. I think. Well, whatever Doflamingo's like big speech was, basically Hero's written. Yeah, whatever. I guess hero is subjective because to some people's hero is another person's villain.
Yeah.
But and it's also like the face we get when he's saying, "I want to show you more." What even is that cut? Because we see an eye and then like a weird nose, but it's like a really weird face.
We haven't seen his full face yet, so I think that's just the way of keeping his face a mystery.
That shape looks really weird. Like it's on pages 58 to 59, right after he's like, "You refuse to submit," and then on the next like page, like the other side of the page, there's a really like scary face. Like, what is that?
I can't open it up. I've closed it down.
Okay.
And I've closed off the page.
Okay, it's a creepy face. And I wonder, like, did that jolt happen because their hands touched? And, okay, that's all I got. I could go on forever. But, is there anything else you want to say?
No.
Okie doke.
I don't know why that was a roundup. That was a no.
No. Okie doke. Yep.
So this has been episode 7 of the My Hero Academia podcast. If you have any questions, if you have any feedback, positive or negative, we would love to hear it. So you can contact me at Chopper's Left Antler.
And you can contact me at Sniper of My Heart. This is all on Twitter, by the way.
Yeah, I forgot to add that bit in. Or you could contact us both as a unity at MHAPod on Twitter. Our email is myheropod@gmail.com. And as of this week, we also have a Tumblr.
which is at My Hero, or no, is My Hero Academia podcast. And I like academia is hard to spell. I'm just dumb, but I always misspell academia every time. So I'm sorry to anybody who's tried to search on Tumblr and you're like, how do you spell academia? It's spelled doubly. Don't like it. It's just the My Hero Academy. That just change the name. It's easier to spell for dumb people like me.
Or type in My Hero Podcast. It'll probably come up then.
Probably.
Okay, so thank you for listening. That's the end of this episode.
And don't forget to go beyond
Plus Ultra!
Ultra! Yay!
One day we'll nail it.
Yeah, that was actually really good because you caught on to what I was doing, and I was like, yes, I think it worked out. Okay, and now rewind.